What is up, future drumming freaks? I am Abe-combest and welcome to my channel. This is Drummer Abe channel, and so to the best of my ability I'm going to teach you to play drums. At least as much as I can without being able to physically grab your hands and make them do what they're supposed to do. That's for lessons. If you'd like to have some private lessons with me, that's totally cool. I'll drop my email down in the description box down there, along with my Patreon and Venmo links, IDs, those kind of things. Let's get some private lessons going, and I can definitely get you some more in-depth instruction, but I'm going to try to be as detailed as I possibly can via the interwebs. So hopefully you've gotten to this point and you've looked around my channel. Maybe you're brand new to the channel. This is going to be lesson 2 of basic drumming, which is basic strokes. Okay, so hopefully you checked out the first video, Introduction to Drumming, to where I talked about sticks, grip, practice pad. Okay, hopefully you did all that. So if you've gotten there, you've at least tried to start getting to a point where you're drumming. So to break it down, drumming is basically broken down into 3 different strokes. Okay, so there's what we call, first one is a legato stroke, which is a long note. And basically that's where you strike the drum or the pad, and your stick, you allow your stick to bounce back. Nice and controlled. That's what we call a legato stroke. Check it out. Legato stroke, which means long sound, okay? So you get on a long sound. It's not like a horn or a guitar or piano or something. A drum, basically, depending on how you tune it, is going to have its own length of note, or what we call a tail. But to get that note, you're going to need a nice long stroke like that. Legato stroke. Okay, so that's the first stroke. And we have an exercise to practice those strokes that we call 8 on a hand. And we're going to work on how to count and read music. But those are what we call eighth notes. And this would be a measure right here. And so there's 8, as in eighth, 8 notes in a 4/4 measure. Okay? And so you're going to basically do 8 legato strokes per hand and in time. So we're going to count those. Here's your quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to count them. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and comme ça, thusly. So here we go. Oops. And so you'll do that until the cows come home. That's called 8 on a hand. Everybody does it. Everybody starts with it. Anybody that's ever been in a marching band or anything, that is the first thing you do when you warm up, because you're trying to stretch these muscles here. Drumming is a sport just like anything else. We gotta use our muscles. You know, guitar players have these little bitty muscles here that they use. We have larger groups of muscles that we need to use, so we need to stretch them. So when you're doing your 8 on a hand, nice and extended, and then you pick up the tempo. And never, never, ever strain. If you start to strain, you're doing something wrong. Okay? Nice and relaxed. And I recommend that everybody, if you have a phone, just download a metronome app your phone and use your metronome to keep you in time. You've got to get used to playing in time with that metronome. Can't stress that enough. So as you pick up the tempo, your stick heights are going to come down, but you still want to get as much extension as you can. So something like this. Okay? Nice and controlled, relaxed. Even if you get to this. Still nice and relaxed. So that's the legato stroke. That's stroke number 1. That's the long sound, right? Legato stroke. Long sound. La la long, okay? So, we did that. And I showed you 8 on a hand, which is how you're going to practice your long strokes. Now we're going to talk about the second stroke in drumming, the staccato stroke, which is a short sounded note, which means you're cutting the tail off of the end of your note. So that looks like this. And you're going to start here, okay, just above your pad or your drum. You lift, strike your note, and stop your stick. Okay, and don't squeeze. Don't squeeze. You hear me? I know you're trying to. Don't squeeze your stick. Your hand weighs probably 3 or 4 times what the stick weighs, at least. Just stop your hand. It's easy. It's kind of like if you've ever seen, what was it, Sandlot? Just stick your hand out in the air, and I'll do the rest. So, this is all you have to do. Strike the drum and stop your hand. Your bead of your stick should stop just above the head or diaphragm of your drum, or just above your pad. Now, so doing like an 8 on a hand exercise with that would be really tricky. So it can be done. So you do 8 strokes per hand. Okay? So, to get a more defined feel for how those notes can work together, the staccato and legato stroke, we have a little exercise that I think anybody that's ever done any scholastic drumming at all has probably heard of this. We call them bucks. Depends on which part of the country you're in too. Some bugle corps have different stuff that they call things like we used to call 6-tuplet exercise Midwest singles. There's some other places that call it something else. So that's that's a whole nother topic for some other day. But bucks is a exercise that we use to practice both strokes combined, a staccato and legato stroke. And it sounds like this. Again, we're playing 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, like that. Okay? So you get the quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have a loud note and a soft note. And when you notate it, it looks like that. And I have it written down 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's how you count it out. Loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft. Okay? So the trick is controlling that tap. Oh, got it? So if you're getting this, a really undefined look and a really undefined tap and accent, you got to work on that, okay? Get it where it's okay. Now, so by proxy, we have just learned one of the other notes in drumming, the third, which would be a tap or upstroke. So watch. That second one. Staccato, upstroke. Okay, so if you notice in the transition, when I go from one hand to the next hand, that last note is it's just a tap. It's just a staccato note. See that? Okay, so work on those. Those are called bucks. So I'm going to show you one more thing today that I'll keep elaborating on because I think these are important. And I've heard people, even when I was in college, I talk about playing these patterns on a drum set, and some people will, yeah, man, everybody plays paradiddles, man. And I'm like, well, no. I know dudes that have played drums for 15, 20 years, they cannot play paradiddles. They don't know how to apply them to the drum set at all. So, I'm not going to assume that people just know how to do this stuff. That's what I'm doing this for, so to help you get better. So, paradiddle. One of the most important rudiments in the book. Okay, this is how you get going. This is how you get good. Guys that can play good paradiddles early, usually you get a good head start on people, especially when it comes to hand strength and coordination and dexterity. Okay, so this is what the paradiddle looks like when you write it out. You see that? You're sticking there. Right, left, left, left. And see, I have accent notes there too. Accent markings. See those? That's what those are called. And so these are paradiddles. Usually we link them in 16th note patterns. You can slow them way down and do them in 8th note patterns. But we'll just start here just because I think it looks cool. And it's easier to immediately apply it to stuff when you're thinking about them in 16th note patterns. Because a lot of the music that we play is in 4/4 time, and usually a good drummer in the back of their head, they're subdividing, and we'll talk about what subdividing is. But in the back of your head, when you're playing a groove, boom, bat, boom, bat, you're going 1 eana, 2 eana, 3 eana, 4 eana. You're doing that stuff in the back of your head while you're going boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat, gagoon, bat. Okay, so that's why I like to break things down into 16th notes. It's just the way that I do it. Okay. Other instructors will tell you whatever. I'm telling you this way because it just makes sense to me. Maybe you can try it other way. I'll explain it in quarter note patterns too, or 8th note patterns. But this is what a basic paradiddle pattern looks like. Okay, this is the first one everybody learns. And all of these strokes are contained in the paradiddle. contains all three strokes. Up, down, and grace note. Okay, legato, staccato, grace note, up or upstroke. Okay, so paradiddle looks like this. And if you just say it, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Okay? Okay, and that's without any accents, okay? They're all up. So when we play them a little quicker with accents, we get this. And it's cool because paradiddles, a lot of the drumming rudiments, they sound like the name. That's how they get the name. They're passed on through generations or whatever. I don't know who the first guy was to say paradiddle, but they're like, yeah, paradiddle sounds like that. Paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Okay, and all of your rudiments get into the habit. I know I just showed you one, that was paradiddle, but I want you to work on it and you should play them every day, no matter what. I don't care if you're an old dude like me or if you're 12, 13 years old, play paradiddles every day. Okay, so work on that. All of your rudiments should start them very slowly and control them up to speed. And once you start feeling tension, you should probably stop there and hold it. Okay? And then slowly work your way back down in tempo to snail pace. All of your rudiments. Always play them that way. So hold it up there. I'd probably go a little faster than that, but I know I'm controlling it right there. I'm going to slow it back down. So, practice all your rudiments that way. Just work on it. And then we're going to get to the point where we'd start doing what they call grids. Scott Johnson says he's too old to grid. I kind of agree with that. I mean, gridding is boring. And I'll explain what grid is in some other video when we get there. Because it's a really laborious way to practice to me. I think you should do it some, but we'll get it. That's a whole nother video. One more time. Paradiddle contains all your strokes. Get a metronome. Get a metronome. You have a cell phone, download a metronome app. Doesn't matter which one. Download it. Get an earpiece too. Use your little ear thing, plug it into your phone. Play in time. And I'm gonna have videos where I'm gonna show you how to play in time with the metronome. So anyway, that was lesson number 2, basic strokes. Okay, so I hope this is getting you going, and I hope that you're getting on your pad and doing some work. You should do it, especially if you're a young guy. Bring your pad everywhere, jam on it. I brought my practice pad everywhere with me when I was young. But literally everywhere. Sticks, practice pad. Even some of my girlfriends back in the day used to get irritated because I was always walking around with sticks and a practice pad. But that's how you get good. You gotta put in that time, and Just keep after it. You're gonna get there, and it'll feel like this slow moving climb. But remember, you're still, every time you play, you're getting a little bit better. And then soon you'll notice, whoop, you'll notice a big jump. And you'll be like, wow, man, I'm so much better than I was a month ago. And that's how this whole thing progresses. Sometimes you kind of level off a little bit, and then suddenly there's a jump and you're playing. That's why you have to keep playing to get to that next jump. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, please drop them down there in the comment section. Please like and subscribe, share my videos. Check out my Patreon, become a Patreon, help me get some of the gear that I need. I'm really looking for this particular camera that is for recording drums, live drums. It's got a great microphone and everything on it, but I need to get a little bit more cash to make it worthwhile. So I'm trying to use this channel to justify doing that. Okay, so check out my Venmo. You can drop tips in there in my Venmo, which is really cool. Goes instantly. Or you can become a Patreon. But please leave some comments down there. Tell me if you need help with something or if you have questions. Alright? So until then, keep drumming, and we'll see you later.